Hello everyone, my name is Lina. Welcome back to English with Lina. Okay, so the topic today is what's IELTS test about in a nutshell. Okay, so we'll walk you through the test format throughout all the 4 sections of the test, like listening, reading, writing and speaking. And of course I tell you about the type of questions that you will be expecting, and then the kind of time frame that you are allowed to do the test. Alright, so before we start, let's look at this. The IELTS test has 2 formats. So first is the academic test and the other one is the general training test. You may want to apply for the academic test if you want to pursue higher education or professional registration in English speaking environment. And you may want to go for the general training test if you want to go to English-speaking countries for work experience or secondary education. And this is also a requirement when you want to migrate to countries like the UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. Alright, so let's start with listening. You will have roughly 30 minutes to listen to the audio, and then after that you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answer to your answer sheet in the paper test. But if it is a computer-based test, you will only have 2 minutes to check your answer at the end of your listening section. So you can check out this video. I've done a comparison between computer-based test and the paper-based test. Alright, next one. Recently, with the new test, you will no longer have some time to listen to the example. So before they give you one example that you can listen to, and normally we may use the time to read the question in advance. However, we no longer have this privilege as we're just going to go straight into the test. So don't be surprised. And this test, like I say, had 4 parts. So part 1, you will fill in the form, and this is normally the easiest one. It is the conversation between 2 people. Part 2 and part 3, you will have the matching and multiple choice kind of question. And part 3, sometimes you will see a long chunk of text, so you have to be prepared. You should skim through the listening paper anyway at the beginning of your test, and you should arrange some time to read part 3 if you see that it's very long. Well, in part 4 you normally have less time to read. What I mean by this is from part 1, part 2 and part 3, you normally have 2 times to read your questions. Let's say in part 1, from question 1 to question 10, you will have some time to read question 1 to 5, and then you listen to the audio, and then after that they pause. They give you some more time to read question 6 to 10. That does not happen in part 4. You will need to read everything at once at the beginning of section 4. Well, and the topic of section 4 is normally about a lecture. So the topic is more academic, and you would expect more advanced vocabularies. If you want to listen for more listening tips, you can click this video for all the tips you can get for IELTS listening test. Next, reading. Reading test lasts for 60 minutes. You have 40 questions, which is divided into 3 parts. The type of questions are true, false, not given questions, multiple choice, headings, matching, and fill in the blank spaces. Normally, there is one passage that is longer than the other 2, so you need to allocate your time accordingly. Again, you can check out more reading tips up here. Alright, so with writing, you have 2 tasks. Let's start with task 1. So you have 60 minutes altogether, and task 1 for both academic and general training tests. They require you to write at least 150 words. That means you could technically spend around 20 minutes on this session. So for the academic writing test, you will normally in task 1 you have like a graph that you have to interpret the data. So the graph could be like a line graph, could be a table, could be a bar chart, or a combination of those things. And sometimes you may encounter like question about map, like the changes between the two maps, any renovation, and then or you can encounter something like a process. They give you a diagram or maybe two diagrams for you to describe this process. For general training, you will need to write a letter in task 1. In task 2, it is the same in both types of tests, and you are expected to write 250 words, so you will spend around 40 minutes on the session. And the question is the essay type, so you have to write an essay that has the open, have the body and conclusion, and the types of questions are varied, like could be advantages or disadvantages of something, or do you agree or disagree, or the solution, the problem and solution type question. Last one, speaking. So speaking, you will have 10 to 15 minutes on this test, and it is a one-on-one interview. You will have 3 parts, and the parts are like this. With part 1, you have general topic. So the kind of question is going to be about like yourself, your home, your hometown, your family, your hobbies. Part 2, they're going to give you a cue card. You will have 1 minute to prepare for this, and then 1 to 2 minutes to speak about the topic. Part 3, you will have questions that is related to part 2, so it's more like topic-centered question. The test date of the speaking test is sort of like it varied. So with the other 3 skills, listening, reading and writing, you will do all of them in one sitting. But then speaking, you will have a separate date for it, separate time and date for it. So for example, like you may lucky enough to have the same date as your written test, or maybe it could be before or after. And to get used to this test, I could highly recommend you to use the Cambridge IELTS book. So these look like this. Of course, it's available in both like academic and general training. I would reckon that you should use book 6 to 15. So those are the ones that are most up to date. Again, thank you very much for watching my video. Please click the subscribe button to support my channel, and I will see you in my next one.